Dan Illman, Mike Beer. The feature race at Aqueduct on Saturday is the $100,000 correction stakes for fillies and mares going 6 furlongs. And if you want to bet this nice card at NYRA on Saturday, please do so with a new DRF Bets account. Sign up at bets.drf.com. Double your action. Bet 100, get 100 as your sign-up bonus. Let's meet the fillies and mares for the correction. You can pretty much say that Linda Rice has this race surrounded. She's entered the 1, Sour, the 2, On Her Way, the 4, Sounds Delicious, and the 5, Start with Silver.
Yeah, she's got 4 of the 6 in here. It just feels like, based on the way that this race sort of is shaken out, you know, she's just going to be really hard to beat in here, because outside, you know, Yorkie Poo Princess obviously would be the other main contender here. The 6 Filibustin, who was one of the 2 not trained by Linda Rice, feels like she's in a little tough here.
Let's start with the morning line favorite, trained by Rice. That's the number 1, Sour, who rebounded off a sort of disappointing performance in the 38 Go-Go Stakes 2 starts back at Laurel, probably at a distance a little bit too far for her, going the mile that day. With a decent effort in the Interborough, she battled with Yorkie Poo Princess that day, put that one away, and then was no match for the razor-sharp Dawn, the Destroyer, who came back to run 3rd in the Grade 3 Barbara Fritchie with an 87 Beyer speed figure. Now, Sour's kind of a speed type, and from the inside post with other speeds to the outside, Jose Lezcano's going to have to work something out.
Yeah, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, he's drawn to the rail here, cutting back to 6 furlongs. He's got to send her out of there, and he's got to try and make the front here. I don't see any other way to ride her, because she's not the kind of horse that you want to be conceding the lead with. She has the inside. She's plenty fast enough to make the lead in here. He's got to be on ascent here.
She finished ahead of On Her Way in the Interborough. On Her Way then ran in the Fritchie and didn't run very well, going 7 furlongs. She would have to cut back to 6 if she does go here. Right now, her participation is questionable. We both liked her race 2 starts back, and we both kind of didn't like last time.
Yeah, I almost feel like when I went through this race, Dan, if she was coming here directly off the Interborough, I might have just picked her and bet her and taken my chances, because I really feel like she took a step forward for Linda Rice. And listen, she's always been one of those horses, racing a little cheaper, yes, early on, but always a gamer, always pretty good. I thought the race for Rice 2-back was maybe the best race she's ever run. And I say that, you know, after watching the race and thinking, Eric Cancel, maybe he didn't do the right thing there. He had her in behind horses with a chance to get clear, and he didn't take it. And then in the stretch, he had to go down to the rail. The rail on January 25th was not the place to be, and she wound up down there trying to rail. I think she ran an underrated race that day. But she came back in the Fritchie last time, and listen, I didn't think she was supposed to win that race, but she did no running at all in that race, and it really turned me off.
Let's talk about the Timeform US pace projector. We do not see a red bar indicating a fast pace, but I would not be surprised if the pace does heat up.
Agreed.
Because Sour, the 1, I would have to expect that Jose is going to be aggressive coming out of the gate. Yorkie Poo Princess we see close to the pace. Sounds Delicious. We know Filibustin has speed as well. Let's talk about Yorkie Poo Princess and her recent performance in the Interborough. It was on January the 25th. You said the rail was not good that day. She had the lead. She had the rail. She had Sour breathing down her neck. I didn't like that it took her a long time to change leads in the stretch. That's really not Yorkie Poo Princess. No. But if you believe the rail wasn't good, you have an excuse, and then you got Beyers of 92 and 96 on the way back.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, you know, and listen, I'm not saying that there's that much between her and Sour on their best days, but I just feel like if I was going to take one of those 2 horses out of that race, I would just take Yorkie Poo Princess. She was down on the inside. It was not where you wanted to be, and she actually stayed very gamely down inside the 8th pole, and she finally just gave it up at the end, but I feel like she had a right to do that. Now she's drawn outside of Sour. I think that helps her. The real drawback for her, I guess, is that she really is a need-the-lead type, Dan. I mean, she almost feels like she has to be on the lead to run her best, and I don't know if she's going to be able to get the lead from Sour anymore.
And I know and that was the question I was going to ask you, because I know she made the lead in the Garland of Roses going 6-2 starts back, but do you think her speed is better for the longer sprints, like the 7 furlongs? Because at 6, I mean, she's really going to have to be fast.
Yeah, she really is. And, you know, the other thing is that I know that she made the lead over Sour in the Garland of Roses, but when you go back and watch the race, it almost felt like Junior Alvarado riding the other day. He conceded the lead to her that day, and I don't think they're going to do that this time. I think Sour's going.
If Sour does concede, it's possible that Rice's number 4, Sounds Delicious, drawn right outside of Yorkie Poo Princess, is the one that pushes Yorkie Poo Princess. Now, Sounds Delicious began her career like a budding star. She won 5 of her first 6 races. Her last 3 races have been utter disasters, but is it coincidence that all of those performances have come over wet tracks? Can you just simply look at it and say she's no good on ground with any kind of give in it, and if you give her any kind of fast going, she's going to revert to that 97 performance we saw in the correction last year. My concern is I don't think it's that easy.
I don't either.
Her last race, she had an easy lead in the stretch as the favorite, and she was drifting. It did not look good, and it proceeded to lay off.
Yeah, I mean, those are all, listen, the wet track thing is certainly a valid way to look at it, but I feel like it's something besides that in her last race. She hasn't run well at all, and it felt like she was maybe headed that way anyway. Even in the distaff last April, she didn't run her best race that day, and it's been all downhill from there. She got off to such a good start. When she won this race last year, she was so impressive, but she was also coming into that race on a real run, and you knew she was going to be super dangerous in the correction last year. I don't know what's happened to her, Dan. She's totally fallen apart. The last time we saw her on New Year's Day, I mean, she was terrible in that race. She had no excuse not to win that day. I know there's been a little layoff here. Maybe Linda's got it right again, but she better have it right again.
And this is something that Linda does very well.
Yep.
So you can trust Rice with this kind of move, as we see with the formulator factor. Over the past year, Rice with horses aged 4 and up, returning from 2 to 4 month layoffs in dirt sprints. We've got 31% winners, a 343 ROI. Whether she wins or loses, she is a major factor in this race simply because she has the speed, if they want to use it, to push a horse like Yorkie Poo Princess. Filibustin, a lot of folks thought on Broadway Day, speed was good, the inside was good. Filibustin looked like the main speed. Well, Filibustin didn't make the lead. And once she didn't make the lead, she didn't run very well.
Right. And
now she's stepping up in class. 2 starts back, nice looking winner in her first start off a layoff, but not sure how good that race was overall.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the way that she came back off the layoff. I thought she ran really well in that start on February 1st. And you felt like maybe she can build off of that and take a step forward as an older horse and be a lot better. And that didn't happen for her in the Broadway last time. She has no chance of making the lead in here from the outside post. I don't see how she wins.
We mentioned the speeds in this race, and as we take a look at our top picks, you're going with perhaps the best closer, and that is the number 5, Start with Silver. Start with Silver's most recent start was her first start in about 8 months, and I just got the feeling watching the race that they were giving her one. She was kept on the outside, very wide turning into the stretch. They let her kind of finish on her own. Her race 2 starts back, which preceded the layoff. The report was she bled in that race. You can draw a line through that race, and then you're left with a 90 Beyer speed figure on Preakness weekend when she ran into a slop-loving Vertical Oak over a sloppy track. Does it worry you that her 2 best figs have come on wet tracks, and if you take those races out, she's kind of just another horse from a speed figure perspective, or do you simply think that Linda, second off the layoff, right pace scenario, and most importantly, right price?
Yeah, I'm looking at it that way, but I can certainly see looking at her and say, boy, she really moves up on a wet track, and I don't think there's any real way to deny that. She's run 2 big races on wet, but she's also run well on fast dirt, so she doesn't need it to be sloppy to show up. And I just sort of look at her Broadway the same way that you do. That was a long layoff, and she just looked like that classic horse who needed a race, not only staying wide, and then allowed to finish on her own, but you could see her sort of flatten out the last 1/8 of a mile, almost like she needed that race. She's second off the layoff now. There's plenty of pace in here. I think on her best day, she's as good as anybody in this field, and if she shows up and runs it here, she's probably the right price to take a shot with.
Reunited with Junior Alvarado, who has had a lot of success with Start with Silver in her career. I'm going with Yorkie Poo Princess. I liked her last time out in the Interborough. It was unfortunate that she ended up down towards the inside, and really we'll know everything we need to know about Yorkie Poo Princess after the first quarter mile. I find it hard to imagine that both Sour and Sounds Delicious concedes, but I do hope that Sour is the one to concede, which will at least give Yorkie Poo Princess a slight advantage, I would think, over Sounds Delicious, and we'll see if the turn back to 6 can get it done. I think she drifts off the 2 to 1. I just think that Linda's horses have to kind of split the vote a little bit, right?
I think so. I'm afraid Yorkie Poo Princess, I think, is very dangerous in this race if she can somehow make the lead.
Mike's hoping to run everybody down with the 5, Start with Silver. 5, 2, 3 for Mike, 3, 1, 4 for me, and the $100,000 Correction Stakes, the feature race at the Big A on Saturday. Bet the card with the DRF Bets account. Double your action when you do so at bets.drf.com. Bet 100, get 100. Approximate post time for race number 3 at Aqueduct on Saturday. The $100,000 correction is 2:40 Eastern. Good luck.